Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The Svena River tunnel in Szynonyte in northwestern Poland is almost completed. The tunnel boring machine, Wysparka, has finally made it through to the other side. This long overdue investment will connect two parts of the city and increase the flow of goods at the Baltic port of Szynonyte. President Duda visited the city today. This tunnel is becoming a reality. Literally, a moment ago we witnessed the placement of the last 3 rings in the hole drilled by the tunnel boring machine. This tunnel is for the inhabitants and all visitors to Szynonyte. It will make life easier, improve communication and improve supply. If it were not for the great determination of the local authorities and the government, there would be no investment. It is worth remembering that it happened thanks to the work of the then Minister, and now Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, and Prime Minister Beata Szydło. Piotr Nisztor, an investigative reporter with the Gazeta Polska Weekly, has found evidence of Russian collusion in an entity managed by Bartosz Kramek, known in Poland for his anti-government actions, including destroying part of the security barrier set up on the Polish-Belarusian border. The Lublin regional prosecutor is investigating Bartosz Kramek for money laundering over 5 million zloty. Most of the money was supposed to go to the Open Dialogue Foundation, where Bartosz Kramek is the head of the board and his wife, Ludmiła Kozłowska, is the president. According to documents obtained by Gazeta Polska, another company owned by Bartosz Kramek has strong Russian connections. What is interesting in all this is that one of these companies, DMF Technologies, is a company that before starting cooperation with Bartosz Kramek's company supplied lithium-7 to a subsidiary of the Russian nuclear corporation Rosatom. Investigators are looking into 46 invoices issued to foreign entrepreneurs, including to Pavel Zabelin, former head of the Moscow Youth Palace, a trusted associate of Michał Kordowski, one of Vladimir Putin's main opponents. According to Gazeta Polska's findings, investigators looking into the case are struggling with disappearing data. According to unofficial information, the server on which the documentation of cooperation with these 2 Canadian entities was located simply failed, and we do not know what has happened to the files. The cause of the failure is a mystery. Bartosz Kramek is heavily involved in activities against the Polish government. His manifesto, "Let's Turn Off the Government," is already famous. On the 25th of August, in a story published in Gazeta Wyborcza Daily, he called for an overthrowing of the border barriers and for civil disobedience protests. Only 4 days later, he attempted to destroy a fence on the Polish-Belarusian border and was immediately arrested. Later, in court in Sokolka, he was released from bail. We already reported that he was connected with, at least some of his sponsors were, with people who worked for the military industry of the Russian Navy. Now we see Russian nuclear industry collusion. We may suspect that his activities are planned and supported by the Russian secret services. Gazeta Polska also reminds its readers that on the basis of the material gathered by the Internal Security Agency, Mrs. Ludmiła Kozłowska was banned from entering Poland because of her links to Russian and Kazakhstani oligarchs. Another week and another resolution of the European Parliament against Poland. This time the title is Freedom of the Media and Further Deterioration of the Rule of Law in Poland. The European Parliament called on Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki to revoke his call to the Polish Constitutional Tribunal to rule on the precedents of European Union law over the Polish Constitution. This is just another phase of the campaign against Poland. They fail to present facts or any sort of evidence. All they aim is to reduce the competitiveness of the Polish economy, economically and geopolitically. It has no connection with factual matters or the truth. It is simply that the largest countries are using the European Union institutions to attack Poland. In 1940, on Stalin's orders, the Soviets murdered over 20,000 officers of the Polish army. When the communists seized power in Poland after the Second World War, one of the cornerstones of their authority was the cat-in lie, the claim that these men had been murdered by the Germans. Despite this, Poles remembered. 40 years ago, a cat-in cross was placed in Warsaw's Powązki cemetery, a symbolic commemoration of this crime and proof that Poles know the truth and will not renounce it. On the occasion of the 40th anniversary of the cat-in cross, there has been a historical meeting, Moment of Truth, during which medals for services to national defence and pro bono Polonaise were awarded. At the end there was a screening of Maria Dwórzewska's film, A Man's Case of Honour. The cat-in cross stands in the so-called cat-in Valley in Warsaw's Powązki cemetery as a testimony to Polish identity. The same night it was erected, the security services destroyed it. It only returned to its current place in the 1990s. The construction of the Katyn Cross was recalled by those who took part. There was strength and support in society, and we felt it. Memories come back. I become genuinely moved thinking about the past and realise how important it was at the time that we performed it. We treated it as an ordinary duty that everyone should fulfil, but not everyone did. Not everyone was determined enough to put their own family and themselves at risk. We were. The communists wanted the memory of the Katyn massacre to vanish and eventually to be erased from history. Stalin's propaganda accused the Germans of the murder, while it was the Soviets' NKVD who shot Polish officers in the back of the head. Soviets and Germans simultaneously murdered Polish intelligentsia. The Soviets killed officers captured in 1939, and the Germans organised the Palmyra Action. The Polish elite was decimated, and its reconstruction is a task for many generations to come. During the meeting, the book Monument to Truth by Łukasz Kudlicki and Andrzej Melak was presented. The authors of the book emphasise that moments such as this anniversary are an opportunity to save the victims of the Katyn massacre from oblivion. There are many documents to be discovered. It is a challenge for researchers to make the Katyn case even clearer. We are Poles, and this motherland must be loved to the last breath in our lives. The name Katyn massacre describes the unprecedented murder of officers taken prisoner and held in several camps in the Soviet Union. The Soviets liquidated 55% of the officers of the Polish army. The words of the 19th century poet Adam Mickiewicz are still important to Poles. If I forget them, you, God in heaven, forget me. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.